another video. Trying to knock out as many videos because I am so behind. But this was the main video that I actually wanted to do today because this affects so many people on so many different levels that it's not funny. And a lot of people don't really talk about it. I mean, there is videos out there, but they don't really go into detail like they should. So we're going to talk about it. It's cheating, basically. Um, we're going to talk about the cheaters, and we're going to talk about the victims who unfortunately may have found themselves deep within a relationship with someone that they loved, they trusted, they wanted to build a future with, and they may have put a lot of things behind just to try to adjust to the person that they found out later on, unfortunately is cheating on them. So we're going to talk about this today, and we're going to talk about what cheating does to a person. So this video doesn't only apply to narcissists and cheating. This video applies to cheaters, period. And if you dig deep, you may find that a lot of cheaters are narcissists because they have this overinflated ego that they are special, they deserve, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. And they don't have any feelings inside, or they just disregard how the other person may feel once they find out about the disrespect and the cheating. So we'll talk about this. So what does cheating do to a person that unfortunately has found themselves on the other side of lies and illusion? Cheaters leave you feeling empty, like they intended this. It's like they do it in such a way that it's almost purposely being done. And I don't know, especially to the habitual or the serial cheaters, it seems like they don't do it anymore for, sometimes, when people cheat, sometimes, unfortunately, people, they end up cheating on people because maybe it's just a position they found themselves into. Maybe they accidentally fell in love, which I don't know how you can accidentally fall in love with somebody, but shit happens. Or they may have accidentally fell in love, or maybe they're working too close to a person. Maybe that person makes them feel special, or there's many reasons why cheating can get out of hand. But that's for something that's rare and may happen for whatever reason. Maybe it may be karmic, it may be different reasons. And I'm hoping that everybody who's listening to this channel, I hope that you understand that I am about spirituality. Not just basically talking. When I talk in spirituality. And so if I say certain things like karma, spiritual contracts that have not been met, things like that, this is where that's coming from. Okay. So yeah, so cheaters, they have a way of, especially the serial ones, have a way of leaving you empty. You may find that they aggressively seek out relationships with people without warning the other party of what they're about to get involved in. You may find that, especially the serial cheaters, they purposely put themselves in positions where it's bound to happen that they're going to cheat on you. For example, you may find that they're consistently on dating websites, or they're always at the club, they're always partying. They always have somewhere to go. Let's say, they always have a meeting that's out of town with the opposite sex, or maybe if this is, something else, it may be the same, where they're purposely putting themselves in positions where cheating is likely to happen. Okay. As they cheat, you would notice, especially the serial cheaters and narcissists, this is mainly what this conversation is about. you may find that after a while they become like a human snake, because they are constantly trying to sneak and find ways on how they can backstab their loved ones. um it's like they almost want to swallow you into a deception, a pool of deception, where they want you to be there for them. They want you to love them the same way, but they're giving their love to other people. But they want you to have 100% of their, they want you to give them 100% of everything while they're doing this behind your back. Um, the serial cheaters, especially narcissists, they know what they're doing. Okay. I think a lot of people find themselves forgiving cheaters of this bad behavior because they feel like, I don't know, it's like the narcissist almost makes you feel like, they're the victims, and it's your fault that they felt unloved, where they have to go out and seek other relationships. So, unfortunately, the person ends up taking them back. And like the old saying goes, once the cheater, always the cheater. There's a reason for that. And the reason may be very well is that, these people are narcissists. They have bad habits. It's a karmic spell that they need to break and they need to conquer. And they're not willing to do that. So they rather take the lower chakra, and deal with that on a lower deceptive level, where they're always hurting people, by lies, and by giving off this illusion where they're with you only when they're with other people. But they don't, you know what the funny thing about cheaters is, that they don't want you doing this to them, but they feel like they can do this to you. But you dare not do it to them. And most cheaters who get cheated on, like narcissists, can become extremely violent, extremely angry, very upset, because they know that they've done it to other people, and they can only imagine the pain that the other person will experience once this is discovered. So what they tend to do is they tend to pretty much position themselves in a way where they're always going to be protected. So even if the person that they're in a relationship with finds out about the person that they're cheating on them with, they're still protected, because they still have been able to develop some type of relationship with not only the victim but the new person involved, where if things doesn't work out, they have another place to lay their head, or they have another place to go. So they always have that sense of security. It's like having a dog, an aggressive dog that listens to you but doesn't is off the leash. It's kind of like that. Um a cheater's mentality, okay? Sometimes cheaters have this mentality like, hey, I only have one life to live. I'm living single. Nobody's good enough, because they're not good enough. So they feel like nobody's good enough, nobody could be trusted. Um, they have no stress. Um, you may find a lot of them saying fuck relationships. They just want a fuck buddy. They think they are gods. They have the mentality that everybody wants them. And unfortunately, the people that they want, they become tired and bored of them. Understand, because I think a lot of victims, because I've been watching some videos to see how I was gonna express myself when it came down to cheating. But a lot of people who are victims of cheating, unfortunately, a lot of them, they feel like it's their fault, and they feel like it's something that they could have done better to prevent that event from happening. But if you are a victim who has been cheated on, I could tell you hands down, there is not one more plastic surgery that so many women are going under the knife, cutting and slicing and injecting their bodies to try to prevent their loved ones from cheating. There is not another gift. If there's a man listening, there's not another gift. There's not another flower. There's not anything more sexually that you could have done to prevent this from happening to you. You have to understand when, and as deep as I go within the science of trying to understand people and why things are going the way that they're going, is because sometimes people have certain characteristics within themselves in karmic debt that they have to overcome in this lifetime. And this could be very well one of their toughest challenges. But what they do is cheaters, especially narcissistic cheaters, they try to make this into a game. They try to glorify pain, hurt, and sorrow into a cliche, like it's no big deal, like handle it, this happens. Which this is not right. This is against the law of life. When you first get into a relationship with, unless it's a relationship, if you guys got into a relationship where you established that this is going to be an open relationship, I'm going to date who I want to date, you date who you want to date, then there's no reason we should not be having this conversation. There's no reason for pain, doubt, lies, deception, none of that. But most of the time when you're dealing with cheaters, they're afraid. They're afraid to tell you that this is what they want, because they know that there's a good chance that a lot of people are not going to go for that shit. If you want to go out and play, you just stay single. But the problem with a lot of cheaters is that they want to have their cake and they want to eat it too. And they're too weak. Okay. They're too weak enough to deal with the consequences that they bring forth to other people. When they put them in these fucked up situations where people find out they're being cheated on and they're being played. Okay. But again, if you go and you start off a relationship like that, then it's fine. But most of the time, people who are being cheated on, they have no clue. They have no idea how deep of a relationship that their partners are in with other people, because it was all these lies and deception. And understand that cheaters, because what I wanted to say is that, unfortunately, a lot of victims who are now discovering about cheating or have discovered about cheating, or may just got out of a relationship where they have been extremely cheated on, you have to understand that you are not to blame, but understand at the same time the person who cheated is not a victim, because most cheaters that I know, they're not crying and they're not sad and depressed after having their little rendezvous. Okay. They're not, staying up in the middle of the night crying, wondering, looking at the clock after they just left the restaurant from a date or a hotel. They're not going through any of those things. So if you are a person who is a victim of this particular circumstance, I want you to understand that it's not your fault. And the person who is cheating on you and doing all these things is there. It's like they're spiritually pulling energy from you. And every time you become sad, depressed, broken down, you can't continue on with life, you're feeling suicidal, you're depressed, you can't communicate, you're no longer going out, you're no longer taking care of yourself, that cheater is pulling all that energy from you. All the positive energy that you can't dig deep within yourself and find anymore, they're taking that from you. It's like an energy vampire. And that's where they get the strength to continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper with this pain that they inflict onto others with this scandal. Okay, so I just wanted to say that because last night, I'm not going to mention the name, but I looked up a video just to see how I was going to finagle with this conversation. And I saw a woman who she was talking about her narcissistic husband, who she was, unfortunately divorcing, which is sad. It really is sad. And that's another thing with cheaters. They don't realize that, after a while, the victim becomes tired of their shit and they're no longer interested, which we'll talk about that later because we do have a lot of information to cover, which is very important, especially for people who are finding themselves on the other side of this deception. It's very important for you to know all these details so you can try to get the strength back. Because I've had too many conversations with my friends and others who experience the same kind of deception, and it's like it's so hard for them to pick themselves up and get back on the right path because they don't know all the information. So it's a very sad thing. When this is a very sad thing, and when I was looking at the woman yesterday on the video, even though she may have separated from this loser and his manipulation, his gaslighting, his deception, all the kind of bullshit that he put this woman through mentally that nobody could see physically, I could see as she described cheating, I could still see her eyes was starting to water. And I saw her cut the video. I saw her cutting and slicing. It's like every 30 seconds she cut, and you could tell she put it together because she probably did cry during her expression of what she experienced from cheating. And as I discovered and I went deep within the information, it was said that a person who is a victim of cheating, it's almost equivalent to being in an accident. It's equivalent to feeling like you lost a loved one, or some type of deep attachment that you may have had that was emotionally connected, and all of a sudden you found that severed. It's an unresolved, empty feeling of questions of how, when, and is there anything that I could have possibly done to prevent this from happening? So there's constant questions, constant. And it's like, I could tell you that sometimes people who are victims of cheating, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist, sometimes they go and and sometimes people, they suffer in silence. And they suffer in silence because sometimes victims end up getting the big brunt of this cheating that they are experiencing. Sometimes they don't even get any support from their friends. Their friends talk about them. There's sometimes they find that they can't even express themselves to their friends because there's a good chance that they're only going to go back to the person who's cheating on them. There's a good chance that if this cheating is coming up, they can't go back and express themselves to their family members or friends because this is not the first, this is not the second, this is constantly, every time they speak to these same people, it's the same conversations that they're having again about their partner cheating. And then it's like after a while, their family members, their friends, they get so frustrated they don't want to hear it anymore, to the point where the victim is now being blamed for these actions. So again, more depression, more suffering in silence, and feeling totally isolated and unloved because they can't communicate with anybody anymore, because other people don't understand why you can't just leave this jackass, why you can't just leave the son of a bitch who is putting you through fucking mental hell. They don't understand it. And they don't understand it because they don't have that connection. They don't have those memories of when shit was good. All they know is about what the fuck is bad now. So, unfortunately, victims, they go through a lot of stress. I've seen, you could look at anything. I've watched many reality shows I've heard of many great people out there who have been involved with people who unfortunately have cheated on them, and they went from being high to being extremely low because it breaks you down emotionally. It leaves you feeling like pure shit. And you may find, if you're a victim of somebody who is constantly cheating on you, or you may have found out about it, you can no longer concentrate on your studies. You're not willing to have a good time anymore. You're not laughing. People may find that your attitude has changed at work. You went from being a really nice person to a really mean person that people try to stand clear of, but nobody really knows why. They just know that you're like really, you're really out of hand at this point. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that comes out of disrespect. And again, a lot of people don't know how to deal with this. And this is why we're talking about this today. Okay. So, yeah, let me just take just give me about a minute and I'll come back to this conversation. Okay. Just 1 minute. Oh my God. It seems like every time I'm getting into a very deep conversation, it's like people come out of nowhere and it's ridiculous. But anyway, let me go back to what I was saying. Um, yeah, so yeah, I was talking about the victims, and you know, when a person is being cheated on, the cheater doesn't realize how deep of an effect that they may have on the person that they're cheating on. I mean, I could sit here for days and talk about the constant stories of people who have found themselves in love triangles, and many people have came up dead. Suicidal attempts, um hit attempts where the victim wants to take a hit out on the person there's so many negative things that comes out of cheating. It's not funny. I mean, I was just watching the news the other day and I saw that, unfortunately, I don't know what was going on, but I know that two teenagers, unfortunately, unfortunately, they're not here on this planet anymore. And I really, and then when I looked at the story and I got deep within, I mean, it was a triangle that basically they were caught up in. And unfortunately, the victim found out about what was going on, and I guess they started their own private eye investigation, started following them to the point where they found the people in an uncompromised situation, and what the results was from that. So this is how deep this cheating goes. I mean, and it's funny because a lot of people, they don't, I mean, I know people talk about it and stuff like that, but it's so much cheating, it's so much infidelity, and it's so much grimy shit going on that it's like it's become the norm now. It's become the norm now, and it's like, it's so many sick people in the society. It's so much drugs. It's so much crime. I'm not saying this all has something to do with cheating, but there's a good percentage of it that has to do with cheating. And there's so many single parent homes. Everybody knows that the divorce rate is high to the roof. It was never like that long ago, when marriage was sacred and people respected marriage and they respected family and they had morals. If you look at the statistics then and you look at the statistics now, you have to ask yourself, why is it so bad now with all the information that we have compared to then, where communication wasn't as widespread as it is now. And it's because the moral value, the moral structure is so low within society that it's just normal now to be disrespectful. It's just normal now, if you're being cheated on, that you just have to swallow it. You just have to basically deal with it. And it's not right. It's just not right. And then we wonder why all these single parent homes, why this, why that. And this is where the shit is coming from. And I'm hoping that I could talk about some other things too, because I guess I'm in the mood to do videos today. I don't know. But yeah, let's continue. You may find that cheaters sometimes are so freaking bold and so arrogant with their deceitful behavior that you may find that they have no problem coming home late. They have no problem lying about where they've been. They have no worry at all with explaining to you why they came home the next day. You may even find that if you're dealing with a cheater, especially the serial, especially those narcissistic cheaters, you may find that they'll put you in such a pickle that they would come home like maybe like the next day or sometimes extremely late in the morning, and they may take a shower, and then if you ask them, they're like, you what I've been hanging out with my buddies, like what, or like I was hanging out with my girlfriends, like what, like deal with it, and then after that, they're laying down, and before you know it, they're sleeping, and they could care less what how you feel. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck how you feel. Because as far as they're concerned, they got their happy on, they got their rocks off, they enjoyed themselves while you were at home, or you were at work, or you were wherever you were at, feeling like shit, worried, and looking like shit, most likely, because of all the stress that you're under. And they could basically care less. And they get power from that. And, unfortunately, a lot of victims do not understand this game. They don't understand the spiritual exchange. And then, they find themselves on the losing end. Not for long, though, because one thing I could tell you for any victims or anybody who has been cheated on, I want you to know that at the end of this conversation, you should not be feeling like this. And you will not feel like this forever. It will be a day that you are no longer having conversations with people. You are no longer complaining about all the disrespect that you have to experience. You are no longer in that worried state of, are you getting played? Because you would have been so strong after coming out of this that you would know that karma is waiting for that ass right around the corner. And that is the biggest fear of cheaters. They know that they are doing dirt and they're going to have to pay for it one day. But they're not ready. They are scared shitless to have to deal with it. But hey, it's coming. Because just like the victim had to go through the pain, they're going to have to go through the pain. It's called karma, and it's called tables will turn on that ass sooner than later. So let's continue. So yeah, they will come home late and sometimes not even at all. And when they do return, they return tired. They act as if you're bothering them when you're asking them questions because you want answers. You want to know, why is this happening? And you want to let them know that their actions are hurting you. You feel betrayed, you feel backstabbed, and you want to address this. You want to get down to the bottom of it, but they won't communicate, and they won't give you what you need because, again, it's a game. It's an energy exchange that they're pulling from you. And if sometimes if you keep pressing it with cheaters, they can kind of like flip the script on you and get really aggressive to the point where you're almost shutting down. And it's a fog screen to try to avoid, being truthful with what's going on. And like I said, they will sometimes flip the script on you, and then they'll become so aggressive on you where things can escalate and things can become very violent. Sometimes they can even become more violent than you, the victim. And it's because of this game. Because I can tell you right now that people, especially narcissists, serial cheaters, and shit like that, you got to understand that they need this lifestyle. They need this deception. They have to have this. It has to be incorporated in their communications and dealings with others. The deceitful factor has to be the main culprit in this, because this is the only way that they could stay on top and feel energized, because it's like they can't believe that they're able to fool both people and still have that that air of angelship about them. Like they're an angel, they do no wrong, and if they have if they have been discovered of doing wrong, unfortunately, it's your fault because you didn't sex them enough, you didn't suck them enough, or you didn't love them enough, you didn't cook enough, you didn't look good enough, you didn't talk to them enough. It's something that you did that was not good enough for them, that they had to go out there and seek. And it's not that, it's that they need to play this game because it's deception and they need this for power. And then, unfortunately, the victim doesn't understand why they are finding themselves going around in this hamster wheel, round and round and round again, never being able to get off, because they don't understand that this is a game that they need to be a part of the game in order for the game to run. I mean, that's just the way it is. Just like a car, you can't drive a car without the wheels. You need all the parts. Without the wheels, you ain't going nowhere. Okay, so without you as the victim, without you as the one on the other side of the table getting played, getting disrespected, this person will have no power to play the side games that they're playing with their side lovers. Okay, because they know that if they're only playing one-on-one, okay, and they're not cheating and they're playing on a fair playing ground, they know that there's certain shit that they can't do, because there's a good chance that they might leave the one that they have. So they're not, they're not willing to risk that. So they find great power when they have you as a fool on the side and their other side piece as a fool on the side, and them being the puppet master, the string puller, who's pulling these two, maybe three, sometimes it's so many relationships, it's too many to count, and it's just like they just have all this power. All this power. This is why you see that most people who cheat, and you look at the victims that they are cheating on, sometimes not really the side piece, but like mainly their main piece, they don't have that light in them anymore. They don't have that light. They don't have that shine. It's something about them that gives off this depression, this air of sadness, this air of silence, this air of pain. But, they just don't have that vigor like that cheater does. And again, it's because of the energy pulling, the energy exchange, the deception. This is why snakes are powerful. They can easily sneak up on you, bite you, kill you, and you're done, because it's the deception. It's the sneakiness about it. But we do understand that cheaters are extremely paranoid. Okay, they do have their times where if their side piece is not complying and their victim is not complying, and nobody wants to deal with them because everybody knows that they're a narcissistic cheater and they're sick and they're most likely dangerous to everybody who they get involved with, they themselves become paranoid. Okay, and they start to think that everyone around them is fake because they are fake. Okay, they start, especially the narcissistic men who do this, because I'm not saying that women don't do this, because women do this too, but I'm talking about men, the narcissistic cheating men. They start to think that women are no longer ladies. They think that 90% of women are hoes. Okay, they think that everyone is a slut, no one can be trusted, all because of their actions. Because the person who has been cheated on most likely does not view people in this way. And it's true, because Most people who are victims of cheating, they don't look at people like that. They don't look at people like everybody's a slut or everybody's a cheater or everybody can't be trusted, because obviously they trusted you enough to fall in love with you, to give you a chance to build a future with you. They want to feel love. They want to experience love. But the cheater can't, they don't have that same understanding, because it's all about deception, especially when a cheater goes out and they find other victims to cheat on and to play this game. They can't even have a solid, real connective relationship with the person that they're cheating on with, because it was built and it was based off deception. So it will never be there. Um, the cheater may find that they have burnt so many bridges. The cheater, you may find that, the cheater is they start to get kind of desperate, where they need to find someone, and they need to find someone fast, um to try to take their mind off of the pain that they may have or may experience as the victim. um you may find that, and a lot of cheaters, trust me, like they said, once a cheater always a cheater. Yeah, that could be true to a sense, if a cheater stays around on this earth plane long enough, because as we all know, people do get old, they do age, people do change, and unfortunately things are not going to be the same, especially when you're a deceptive, lying, conniving, backstabbing, low down, just a fucked up individual who, you're just a plain fucking liar, a plain fucking liar. But you know what? They're going to grow older. Okay, they're going to probably start to look older, and as you get older you're going to start to look ugly. And if they were slain, I'm going to talk a little bit vulgar. I hope you guys can handle this. Okay, for the narcissistic men out there who was able to slay dick all over the place and lay it down hot on some women, as they get older, unfortunately that pipe is not working as it used to. So now they need vitamins such as Viagra. And unfortunately, that doesn't work all the time, because they're overstiffed. There's no pleasure, and enough is enough. Women want pleasure, but they don't want to be killed in bed. So, I mean, again, they can't even pull that connection with sexual energy anymore. So they're losing on that end too. So you may find that, once a cheater, always a cheater, but those cheaters are now older, or those cheaters are now worn the fuck out, because they done burnt themselves so many different places with so many different relationships, that they are now desperate for relationships. They are so desperate to find someone, that the women and the games and the things that they were able to pull before, the women too, who were able to pull the men, and all the things that they were able to do before, they're not going to be able to do that for long. It's gonna run dry. The well is gonna run dry after a while. So you may find that, these so-called players who had no problem whatsoever juggling one, two, three, four, five, as many relationships as they could, unfortunately, they are now finding themselves on dating websites, you know, desperately looking for women, desperately, wanting to, just find the wholesome woman that they came across maybe 1,000 times over. But they fucked over them. Or the same thing with these women. You may, these narcissistic women who constantly cheat, and they may have found a good guy. Fortunately, they were too hot in their panties and they just couldn't stop. And now they're dealing with the leftover men that are pretty much washed out. And this is what you have to deal with, because you had enough chances and you fucked it up. Okay, so now you find like these serial cheaters on dating websites, or you may find like, these serial cheaters, the men, you may find, especially the men that I've spoke to and I've researched, you may find that the men, now they want women with knowledge. Now they're seeking women with knowledge. Now they want the independent woman. Now they want the strong woman now. That's what they're focused on. Because before, when they had the chance to have these kind of women, they broke them down as much as they could emotionally, and they just was never ever good enough for their selfish satisfaction that they were desperately seeking. Now all of a sudden they're washed up and dry, and now all of a sudden they want something solid. And if you're a victim who stays with a cheater long enough, you will find yourself back with old washed up cheater who has all of a sudden is a pastor, or all of a sudden he's a preacher in church, and he knows the Bible inside and out, and he's holier than thou, or he's the best man that you could ever find, or she's the best woman that you can ever find. They do everything perfect. They're Mary Poppins at home, or they're Lever to Cleaver's dad. Everything perfect now. After they ran you through the dirty washing machine with all their filth and deception and lies, now that they're washed up and they're dried up, now they're the best person that you can ever find. Now they want you, the victim, who has now developed the strength. Now they want you to embrace their love. And unfortunately, it just doesn't really happen like that. There's a lot of stories out there with women, especially those women who are married to pastors or like deacons or preachers or whatever. Yeah, a lot of those guys, they're narcissists. And a lot of those women are living daily through hell with what their men are doing. They're up there at the podium, having secret relationships with the women at church, and the women just stay there. They deal with it. And then by the time you see them years and years later, they're so beat down emotionally that they don't even have a voice. They can't even talk. Okay. But all of a sudden, they're like in this lovely relationship after years and years of being mentally and fucking spiritually abused, because that's what it is. A lot of cheating does not come from physical abuse. A lot of cheating happens on the spiritual level, where they spiritually beat you down. They spiritually break you down. They spiritually fuck you up. And then, unfortunately, that runs into emotionally being drained, financially being drained, your health is being drained, mental, you're being drained. You can't do anything anymore. You are drained, drained, drained. You are done. You are cooked. That's what cheating does to a person. So as a victim, many victims may find that, from time to time, when a victim finds themselves involved with a serial cheater or a narcissistic cheater or whatever, one day you may find that, out of nowhere, you get this strength, where you no longer even want to see their nice side. You no longer want to entertain their nice part again. You don't give a fuck how many flowers they bought. You don't give a fuck what she does to you sexually. You just don't want her anymore, or you don't want him anymore. You want to be done. You want to get out of it. That's when you will find that narcissistic cheater goes into autopilot, and they are doing everything that they can to try to bring you back to that bad place, that dark place again, because they don't have the energy and the power anymore. You're not giving it to them. So if you decide one day you're not going to fall for this behavior, you don't accept their nice guy or their nice girl image again, and you decide to move on to bigger and better things, they will start to get paranoid and worry that maybe one day they'll be on the receiving end of their bad behavior, which is karma. And we all know what goes around and comes around. And that's just the fear that they're going to have to deal with. You may find if you're a victim of being cheated on, you will have to face some difficult truths, and you will have to start to get a full understanding of what is happening to you right now, or what has happened to you during your placement of oblivion. And it's such a hard place to be. I could tell you that much. It's a very, very hard place to be. I could say, if you're a young kid listening to this, you're a teenager and you're going through this heartbreak. Unfortunately, teenagers, they go through this too. And then, they go through, bad things such as suicidal and threats and bad behavior, dropping out of school. And, all kinds of different things come from that. And then sometimes teenagers, they can have teenage pregnancies, and then they find out they get cheated on. They're no longer with that person, but they're stuck with this child for 18 years and things like that. Things like this can happen. It's very devastating, this act. Very devastating. But I could tell you that as a teenager, if you're listening to this and you are going through this, understand, and hopefully you're not, because I did say some explicit things, but as an adult, you understand that as a teenager, I mean, you find out somebody cheats on you. I mean, yeah, your heart is broken, but it doesn't last. And it's not as deep as if you're a person who's married or in a deep relationship or have many children with said person, and you find that all these things. Or maybe, you're involved in a relationship. Maybe you don't have no children. Maybe you're not married, but maybe you have like a lot of equity or a lot of business contracts, or maybe deals that, maybe you started a business with this person. Maybe you have a lot of solid ground with this person. And, it's not as easy just to get up and walk away like a teenage boyfriend and girlfriend type thing. This is deeper than that. Okay, there's contracts involved, there's material possessions involved, there's legalities involved, and it's just not that easy. And you have to come to grips, and you have to get an understanding of how the fuck you're going to get out of this situation, and try to balance all of these businesses, or balance this property, or try to come to some type of reasoning with them where they can now be included, stay included within the family, but you just have no parts with them. Because who wants to deal with a person who is betraying them that deeply? This is a dangerous act. Many people can get hurt. I just talked about it earlier. You may find that sometimes cheaters are so quick, they're so thirsty to get into a romantic or a lustful relationship, that they haven't even taken the time out to find out, especially the narcissistic men, a lot of them, again, they're serial daters. So you'll find them, they're constantly on dating websites, or they're getting hooked up with women. They're so thirsty, they get hooked up with women that they really haven't, gotten a chance to find out like how many children the woman has, or, their work, their past relationships, if they have any future goals. They don't even know the person's position, or they don't know where they work. They really don't know that many details about the person. All they know is lust, and all they know is that what they're going after, and that's what they're going to conquer. And then after the act, then they'll deal with whatever comes with, they'll deal with it, whatever comes with it. There was a comment that I saw in regards to that. Somebody had said, it was a woman who, unfortunately, she was going through some infidelity, and she said, today makes 2 weeks. I keep getting all this hope. I love this person so much, and I've never felt such deep pain. She said that she's now struggling with self-hate. She knows that she feels that she deserves better. But she just doesn't understand why she just can't get away. She also said that he can't be what I need. I'm trying everything to get through the days, but I feel like I'm in a shell, and I can't get out. I feel everything too much. I feel crazy sometimes. I feel like nobody understands me. I have intense emotions, and I feel pathetic even typing this. This is what they wrote. She even said that she finds herself in places where sadness and depression is not welcome. She said that she finds herself sometimes in the store just crying for no reason, at work crying, in the bathroom crying, in the car crying, just feeling overwhelmed with depression and anxiety and pain. Again, feeling alone and depressed and not knowing how to get out of it. So this is what cheating does to people. Okay. And I can tell you one thing, that 9 times out of 10, the cheater is not feeling any of these emotions. Okay, the cheater is having a hell of a time. They're having fun, they're having love, they have excitement, um their cortisol, all kind of endorphins, every kind of feeling of love inside, they're feeling on a such a tremendous level that the victim, you're not even close to how the cheater feels. And then you want to know why it happens over and over and over and over again. Is because of that adrenaline, because of that good feeling inside. It's like a high that the victim, you won't be able to understand what that feels like. She even said that the pain is so deep, it's equivalent to feeling like getting hit by a train and surviving. Feels like everything in you has broken and busted. Does that sound like anything a cheater would be going through? I could tell you this. Felt any of these emotions that I just described, do you really think that they would be cheating? Do you really think that they would go out there and seek that kind of relationship if this is the outcome of cheating? No, because this is not what they're going to experience. You're going to experience that. And again, this is the energy exchange, pulling all your positive energy from you. And you are now on, unfortunately, on a dark level, on a very low level of depression. And how could you be at your best? How could you be powerful? How could you do anything constructive with these type of emotions and feelings that you have inside? There's just no way. You can't operate a corporation, you can't operate a big business under these kinds of emotions. So this is why I say that this is an exchange, a spiritual pulling from the victim. We have to understand these people are strongly in agreement. Okay, it says here, we have to understand we have people who are strongly in agreement to cheating. That's another thing too. This is what I wanted to say about, the morals from back then and the morals to now. These days in 2016, the way I've listened to religious leaders, I've listened, to people in very high positions, and you may find that there's a very, I would say 80% of these people that are in these high positions, people who are in control of societies and have very, very big platforms, they are sometimes in agreement with cheating. And rarely you'll find people who are not. They kind of almost tell you, well, it's a part of life. You're going to have to deal with it. It's the facts of life. But this is not right. If you're going to do this act, you need to let the people know before the act starts, not in between and not towards the end. Okay, you really find somebody who's opposed against cheating these days because everybody has pretty much experienced it. But some people, they take it as a grain of salt and they just do what they have to do. A person who cheats does not have the right to expect the person who has been cheated on to tolerate disrespect, infidelity, backstabbing, possible risk of diseases, a relationship that may start off casual and end up serious, losing assets, and sometimes their life as someone becomes possessed. We hear plenty of stories of people who have started affairs and victims who became the prey that was hunted because of their affair from the cheater, which became so lustful that, unfortunately, sometimes cheating can be addictive to the person who's cheating and their side piece because they're having such a lustful, deep connection that you're not involved in. You're not involved in that as the victim. Because I don't know, I think I heard this before from a cheater, and they said something about cheating. It brings excitement to their relationship because of all the lies and the deceit and the deception that they're able to get. It's just like it gives them more fuel to their fire. Um, I think we talked about once the victim starts to gain their strength back and it's almost in a solid place, the cheater then asks is, why are they so hard and not affectionate towards them? This is what they're asking the victim. Why are they so hard? Why are they, not giving them affection, which is ridiculous. The cheater really expects for the person to just get over it and love them again. That's the narcissistic attitude. Just get over it. Just love me again. So what? I cheated. I mean, big deal. Get over it. I had fun. You didn't. You were home crying. Okay. You were looking like shit. I mean, you failed. Okay. You may have been, taking a college course and you found out about my infidelity and I would stop. You failed the course. No big deal. Just love me again. That's the fucking attitude that the narcissistic cheater has. You may have started a business, or you may work, you may were in the process of starting a business. You may, or, you may was in the process of starting a career. And what I did was, I was jealous really about you becoming strong. So what I did was I went to go seek another relationship to feel strong myself, with this air of deception. And you didn't know about it. And now that you found out about it, you're in a broken place and I'm in a good place because I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. And I have something else to lay back on. So deal with it. Okay. But if I want to get rid of my side piece, I can. And if I want to deal with you, you're lucky. And just love me again. This is the narcissistic cheating attitude. Okay. But again, just understand that these narcissistic cheaters, they're filled with anxiety, they're filled with pain, they're anxious all the time. They don't know if this whatever shit that they have in the darkness may arise and come to light, which they are fully aware that they're dealing in snakeism. And they know that they can't be trusted. They can't be trusted. Once people find out, they know that nobody's going to trust them. So they start feeling paranoid because they're like, wait a minute. Oh, I'm discovered. How can I trust the victim when the victim might be plotting to leave me or plotting, something behind my back that's even worse than what I've done? Sometimes victims, they feel like they're under a spell, feeling like the person has pretty much forced them into this position of deception and they can't get out of it. Sometimes victims, they feel less than, they feel broken down spiritually. Sometimes, victims, they're so deep within this in this deception that they can't really see how deep the situation they have been placed in this situation. It's one thing to be a victim and you go into this knowing that this person has somebody else and you're playing this game, and if you're going through this emotions, that's on you because you put yourself in that position. But if you're in a position where you did not ask for this and you had no clue this was going on, I mean, the victim feels like shit. Okay, they feel like they basically are sleeping with a dog in their bed every night, and there's nothing that they can do about it. They have to emotionally gather themselves and get back on track, and that could be extremely challenging, especially when you're dealing with somebody who's so close to you, somebody who you used to trust, and you may have built such a web around you and this person that you have, like, especially dealing with narcissists, they have a way of, like, mentally manipulating you to get rid of all your family and friends, and you're just focusing on them. It's just you and the narcissist, and they make you feel so comfortable that you're just thinking that it's always going to be you and the narcissist, which is not, because while you're doing that, they're building on other relationships behind your back. So if anything happens and you need support, there's a good chance you're not going to get it as readily or as fast as you should. Have unfortunately put a lot of people to the side, and you've gave this narcissist too much reference, too much authority in your life, too much say so. You put too much trust in this person. which is unfortunate because I mean, why not? Why not put trust in a person that you're in a relationship with, especially if you're in a sexual relationship? You're sharing a part of yourself that's very intimate. So why not? I mean, I don't see why not trust somebody. But unfortunately, later as a victim, you'll find out that maybe you shouldn't have trusted them that much. Sometimes, victims only after you have been beat down so badly spiritually, okay, unfortunately, which breaks you down physically. And then, unfortunately, that stems off to you financially. Um, that you may find yourself so broken down that you have no other choice but to bring yourself back up. So you'll find yourself caring for yourself again. And one day you'll see how cool it is, and how much you should value yourself before dealing with this snake who obviously has no value in themselves, never mind you. So you become like a wholesale product to them. You'll become like a surplus with no value, and you'll become that because they have been able to engage in so many other different kinds of relationships that you're a part of their wholesale of people that they can choose from at any time, because you have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? You have no idea what's going on. Um because they have put you in a position of being a naive, like you're naive. And sometimes victims, again, they could feel very isolated and alone because it's embarrassing to let other people know that, look, I was naive, I'm a jerk, I should have known better, and I'm getting played. And you need help. You're going to need help coming out of that emotional destruction, feeling like you're being collected like coins and everything that you have is destroyed, like your firm foundation that you have with this person is destroyed. um yeah, so I think we're almost at the end of this conversation. um yeah, there's nothing else to read because I had some notes here because I've been doing a lot of notes and I'm just trying to read to get this stuff over with. And this is one of the topics that I wanted to talk about. And it's just so unfortunate, and it's so many people going through this. I mean, it's just so many people. There's so many good guys out there. This is not only about a female thing, because there's a lot of good guys out there too that unfortunately are victims of cheating. And unfortunately, that good guy can turn into a bad guy because he'll feel like, the heart that he gave to this woman or this girl, he loved her so deeply, he would give her the world, only to find out that she was cheating on him. He'll never open up his heart again. So even though he may come across somebody who is nice, gentle, sweet, and kind, and could be everything for him, it's just that bad experience that he has had is just pretty much turned him into, iron heart. Like, I mean, he gives you love, but it's not going to be the same because of that broken trust that they had. But I want you to know, if you're a guy listening to this, please don't take that bad experience, because you may be dealing with somebody with karmic debt. You may be dealing with a narcissistic woman, or even men, women, the same thing too. Women can go through this too. But what I would say about women are more forgiving. And there's a good chance that a woman would give love again, unlike men. There's a different science between that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But just give other people an opportunity and a chance again. But I would say, get to know them deeply so you don't have to feel the brunt of this pain. But I will say to you, ending this broadcast, if you're a victim of being cheated on, or if you are just coming out of it and you're trying to find every strength in your soul being to get back on the playing field that you were before all of this scandal came out, all this hurt and this pain, understand that all the pain, all the sorrow, all the disappointment, everything that you've went through, all the tears that you've shed, none of that is going to go into vain. Understand, it may not be on your time when you want revenge to happen, if that's what you're seeking for. Because that's the problem with a lot of people who get played and get cheated on. You're too damn forgiving, especially for the ones who are dealing with serial cheaters. Then you want to know why you're constantly getting cheated on over and over and over again. It's because you're too damn forgiving. You can't be forgiving all the time. You have to learn. I'm not saying not be forgiving and, hold a grudge and then fuck yourself up spiritually or physically or whatever. But you have to learn how to, stand firm and stand strong and don't forgive, especially a serial cheater, especially a narcissistic cheater who, unfortunately, they have the DNA of fucking up, or they have some type of spiritual karmic sickness that they feel like it's important for them to do this. Hold on for a second.